Welcome back to our video series on building a Roller-Crimper. In this video, we'll show you how we mounted the drums onto our disc frame. If you're building along with us at home, you'll have a functional crimper at the end of this video. To start, you'll need to decide how to attach the drums of the piece of equipment you selected to be your frame. In our case, the International 490 disc required brackets that could be made from scrap steel. Our original bracket design called for 4 separate pieces of 1/4 inch thick steel, welded together like the one shown here. Notice that our bracket sides and back were bent into place from one piece of steel with the top plate welded on. This is because the local manufacturer we got our scrap steel from agreed to bend the sides in place for us, but this is not a necessary step. On the back plate of the bracket, be sure to cut a notch that'll allow the drum axle to slide into position should you ever need to remove a roller drum. If you're using a similar frame and dimensions as we did, your axle notch will be 5.5 inches high by 2 inches wide. Also, 4 holes will need to be cut from the back plate to attach the bearing housing with nuts and bolts that you selected for the drum axle. Bolt holes should match the bearing flange you selected for your build. For our bearing flange, we cut bolt holes in a perfect square 4 3/16 inches apart. To begin attaching the drums to the frame, we recommend hanging the center drum first because it's more straightforward than the wing drums. Start by positioning the center drum under the middle front of your equipment frame and slide the hanging brackets over the axle on each end of the drum to get an idea of where the brackets can be attached to the frame. Be sure to choose bracket locations where the central drum, axle, and bracket do not interfere with the movement of wing folding or the running gear. Once the brackets are in the correct position, tack weld them to the equipment frame. If the drum, brackets, and frame all look like they are in good alignment, apply your finishing welds. The next step is to attach the wing drums. This was one of the more challenging steps because the existing frame did not provide bracing bars that run parallel to the center drum. To overcome this hurdle, we added our own bracing bars to the frame's wings. We sourced this material from the toolbar of an old International planter, which measured 7 by 7 inches. The toolbar needs to be positioned on the wing so that the wing drums overlap the center drum by 2 inches to ensure complete crimping, while also ensuring the wing drums will be able to fold up and down without scraping on the ground. Additionally, make sure the wing drums do not hinder movement of the running gear. Take your time and consider the full range of the running gear and the distance your wing drum will hang down. Here's Mike to explain this particular feature of the build further.
So when figuring out and placing your wing rollers, there's 2 things that we have decided are things that you need to be aware of. Okay? The first thing is that when you are thinking about mounting a roller on a wing, you have to understand that when you're driving in the field, the wing is designed to have quite a bit of flexibility and contour the earth, right? So that wing needs to overextend and go down, but also when you're folding up the crimper, you need to be able to take into consideration that this whole thing is going to be folded up, okay? So when we look at the frame, right down here, you have this space where you have the inner side of a wing roller drum that is going to be articulating up and down, okay? And we have to make sure that with all articulations, with the wing going down and with us folding up, we don't have any part of the frame or the drum itself hindering with the normal operation of folding, or if the wing is even in a more downward angled position out in the field, such as along a ditch or in a waterway. Okay? Which is exactly why we've left a good amount of space that we're comfortable with here between our articulating component here, our wing, and the rigid frame, the central frame. The second aspect to watch out for when determining where you're going to permanently affix your wing rollers is the space between the roller itself and your carriage wheels. So we recommend that when you are determining where this wing roller is going to be, put your carriage wheels in the least optimal condition. And that is, in other words, as close as far back as possible, so that, you know, even under worst case scenarios, you have plenty of distance between the blades of your crimper and your wheels.
Once you have the placement of the toolbar correct, mark its location on the crimper frame and the toolbar. Use a square or ruler to mark straight up on the toolbar from the crimper frame. These markings were used to cut notches out of the toolbar with a plasma cutter, allowing the toolbar to sit like a yoke over top of the disc frame. The yoke and existing frame were both flush with each other on their bottom sides. Check out this schematic with the wing yoke dimensions we used when converting our International 490. We did one final check that the bracket and drum did not interfere with the arch of the road tires by clamping the bracket to the toolbar and taping the cardboard drum template to the bracket. If everything looks good, weld the brackets to the yoke, and the yoke into place onto the frame. The only thing left to do is maneuver the drums into the brackets and attach them to the brackets with bearings. This can be done in a similar fashion to how the center crimping drum was attached to the equipment frame. The last task is to add holes for filling the drums with water if extra weight is ever needed. This is accomplished by drilling a hole into each drum and threading each of these holes to accept a threaded water plug. Take a step back and rejoice, because you just built yourself a functional roller crimper. It's time to celebrate. If you feel so inclined, search out your favorite paint color and add the finishing touches to this custom masterpiece you've created. We know what you're thinking. This roller crimper looks pretty cool, but does it work? Our homemade crimper has been used by numerous local farmers in the past year, and we're proud to say this machine has met all of our expectations. The majority of use has been to crimp cereal rye, but there have been some other interesting applications. For example, a neighbor used the crimper to set back a patch of Canadian thistle, and in his words, it destroyed the thistle. In the coming years, we hope to get to know what is possible with our roller crimper. For example, what other cover crops can be mechanically terminated? When can different cover crop species be terminated? These questions and more can now be addressed since we finally have the equipment to start testing. If you have any questions about building your own roller crimper, please reach out to us here at Ecdysis. And if you decide that our video has been helpful in making your own crimper, please let us know by sending a message and photo. We'd love to hear from you. We can be reached at ecdysis.bio/contact-us. Thanks for spending some time with us, and good luck on your own roller crimper project.